ing. The long and storied history of the National Football League, few elements of the game have been as symbolic, as explosive, or as unpredictable as the kickoff. It has marked the beginning of every contest, the start of every half, and the launch of countless unforgettable moments. From breathtaking returns that shifted the momentum of entire seasons, to devastating collisions that sparked conversations about player safety. The kickoff has always represented the delicate balance between excitement and risk that defines professional football. But today, that balance is being rewritten. The NFL's new kickoff rule, one of the most dramatic special teams reforms in decades, is changing not just how the ball is kicked, but how the game itself is played, coached, strategized, and understood. Some see it as a step forward, a necessary evolution in the name of safety and modernization. Others view it as a departure from tradition, a rule that strips the sport of one of its oldest and most exhilarating plays. In this documentary, we will explore that change in depth. What led to the creation of the new rule? Why did the league feel compelled to overhaul a play that had existed for generations? How does the new formation alter strategies on both sides of the ball? And most importantly, does this rule actually improve the game? Or does it take something important away from the sport we know? This is the new NFL kickoff rule is changing football, for better or worse. A deep examination of one of the most consequential changes in modern NFL history. To understand the new kickoff rule, we need to first understand why the league felt it had to reinvent the kickoff at all. For years, the kickoff had been under scrutiny. Long before the rule change was implemented, the NFL had already been making incremental adjustments to reduce injuries. Players, coaches, and league officials all acknowledged the same reality. The kickoff was one of the most dangerous plays in football. Statistically, it produced higher impact collisions than almost any other play. Players often ran full speed for 40 to 50 yards before making contact. The result was a level of force and acceleration rarely seen elsewhere on the field, too. As a result, the NFL's medical reports consistently showed that a disproportionate number of concussions and serious injuries were happening on kickoffs. The league found itself at a crossroads. It faced rising pressure from medical experts, player unions, and even fans who questioned whether the traditional kickoff could continue to exist in its current form. The league had two choices: drastically change the kickoff, or slowly eliminate it. This wasn't speculation. Behind the scenes, there were real conversations about whether the kickoff should simply be removed altogether, a radical idea that would have struck at the heart of football tradition. But instead of removing it, the NFL chose a third option: reinvent the kickoff entirely. To understand the inspiration for the NFL's new kickoff rule, we need to shift our focus to a different league altogether. The XFL, created as an alternative football league, had taken significant risks with the rules of the game. One of its boldest innovations was a unique kickoff formation designed to reduce high-speed collisions while preserving the excitement of return plays. Unlike the traditional NFL kickoff, where players are spaced far apart and given long runway distances, the XFL placed the majority of players just 5 yards apart, creating a static formation. Both teams lined up much closer to the returner, dramatically limiting the amount of momentum players could build before impact. The result was surprising. Kickoffs became safer without eliminating returns. Instead of 60 or 70% touchbacks, the XFL saw significantly more actual returns. The play regained its relevance without compromising player health. NFL officials took notice. When the XFL suspended operations, the NFL invited its rule creators to present their kickoff model. It wasn't long before elements of the XFL design began to appear in NFL competition committee discussions. Eventually, with modifications and adjustments for NFL game flow, the league adopted an updated version of this formation. And just like that, the kickoff in the NFL changed forever. With the implementation of the new rule, the NFL kickoff now looks fundamentally different. Here's how it works under the new format. The kicker still kicks from the 35-yard line. The kicking team's coverage players, however, begin on the receiving team's 40-yard line. The receiving team lines up on its own 35-yard line. Only the kicker and the returner can move before the ball is caught or hits the ground. All other players must remain still until the returner has the chance to field the ball. means the classic image of players sprinting full speed at each other no longer exists. There is no build-up, no 40-yard charge, no collision at maximum velocity. Instead, the moment the ball is caught, the play becomes a contained, strategic, almost scrimmage-like situation. Blocking schemes resemble run plays. Tackling techniques shift toward angles rather than force, and returners face tighter, quicker decision-making windows. It is, in every sense of the word, a fundamentally different play. The introduction of the new kickoff rule has completely reshaped special team strategy across the league. For decades, kickoff units were built around speed, lane discipline, and impact tackling. Now, the focus is shifting toward quick reaction time, controlled pursuit angles, lateral movement, structured block shedding, and creative return schemes based on tight spacing. Teams said. Many teams have started using more defensive backs and agile linebackers on kickoff coverage, rather than traditional special teams gunners. Meanwhile, return schemes look more like designed run plays, featuring double teams, wedge concepts, misdirection, and compressed blocks. For special teams coordinators, this rule has created an entirely new challenge. It demands rethinking long-held philosophies. It forces them to innovate and invent, and for some, it has opened the door to opportunities they never had under the old system. But for others, it has introduced uncertainty. Special teams, once built around explosive athletes, must now emphasize technique, precision, and timing. The entire structure of the playbook is shifting. As with any major rule change in the NFL, fan reactions have been mixed. Some fans appreciate the league's effort to preserve the kickoff while making it safer. State view the change is a necessary evolution that updates football for the modern era. Others, however, feel the new rule dilutes the drama of the classic kickoff. They argue that the play now feels more scripted, less chaotic, and less explosive. The open field thrill that once defined kick returns is diminished, replaced by structured choreography. Both sides have valid points. But regardless of opinion, one thing is clear. The new rule is already reshaping how the game looks and feels. Ever wonder why the NFL just completely blew up one of its most iconic plays? The kickoff, a staple of football for over a century, has been totally reinvented. And it's not just a minor tweak. This is one of the biggest rule changes in the league's modern history. So, why did they do it? And more importantly, is it actually working? Let's break it down. To understand why the kickoff had to change, we need to talk about physics. For decades, the kickoff was one of the most dangerous plays in all of sports. Picture this. Two lines of elite athletes, 40 yards apart, sprinting full speed directly at each other. When you have 200-plus-pound players colliding at maximum velocity, the force is just brutal. We're talking about head-on crashes, blindside hits, and violent rotational forces on the neck and spine. NFL researchers, using helmet sensors and game footage, confirmed it. Kickoff collisions generated impact forces up to 60% higher than a normal offensive or defensive play. The data was undeniable. The league had a choice: change the kickoff or get rid of it entirely. So they chose to change it by taking the most dangerous physics out of the equation. So, the big question is, does the new rule actually work? Early data shows three huge trends. First, and most importantly, injuries on kickoffs have dropped significantly. Players aren't getting that long-running start, so the impacts are slower and more controlled. Fewer blindside hits, fewer high-speed collisions. The league wanted a safer play, and so far they've got one. Second, kickoff returns are way up. Under the old rules, most kickoffs were just booted through the end zone for a touchback. It was a dead play. Now, with the new setup, touchbacks are less common, which means we're seeing more action, more returns, and more actual football being played. And third, field position has become way more unpredictable. Coaches are still trying to figure out the best strategies. This has added a whole new layer of tactical thinking to the game that just wasn't there before. It's not just a safer play, it's changing the entire flow of the game. When the rule was announced, player reactions were all over the map. For many special teams veterans, it felt like a threat. Their careers were built on speed, tackling power, and dominating those long-running lanes. The new kickoff requires a totally different skill set: quick reactions, lateral movement, and leverage in tight spaces. Some embraced the challenge, but others worried their role was being diminished. On the flip side, kick returners are probably the biggest winners here. The play now looks a lot more like a running back hitting a hole. It's about vision, making quick cuts, and navigating through traffic. Returners who excel in short area quickness are suddenly finding a huge advantage. And then there are the coaches. Special teams coordinators have had to tear up playbooks they've spent decades perfecting. Some are excited by the blank slate, seeing it as a chance to innovate. Others think the NFL went too far. But one thing is for sure, every coach in the league is scrambling to solve this brand new puzzle. The strategic ripple effects of this rule are massive. It's not just a special teams play anymore. It's reshaping how the entire game is approached. First, kickers have to be more than just powerful. They have to be precise. It's no longer about just booming it deep. Placing the ball in specific zones to mess with the return team is now a critical skill. Second, return teams can design creative blocking schemes that look more like offensive run plays. We're seeing double teams, trap blocks, and misdirection plays that were impossible before. Third, offenses are benefiting. With more returns and fewer touchbacks, the average starting field position is getting better. Even a few extra yards can dramatically change scoring percentages over a season. And finally, defenses have to adjust. When a good return gets the ball out to the 35 or 40-yard line, defensive coordinators have to rethink their opening play calls. A single rule change has rewired the first 10 seconds after every single score. To really get how big this change is, you have to compare it to the old rule. The classic kickoff was defined by a few key things: long distance, full-speed collisions, a high probability of a touchback, and a disproportionate rate of injuries. But it was also known for wide-open spaces that could lead to explosive, game-changing touchdown returns. It was pure chaos and momentum. The new kickoff is the polar opposite. It's defined by compressed formations, almost no runway for high-speed hits, and a much lower injury risk. That's about structured blocking, shorter and quicker returns, and controlled angles instead of open field chaos. One era was built on danger and raw athleticism. This new era is built on structure and strategic design. It's a completely different play, and whether you love it or hate it, there's no denying the game has fundamentally changed. This leads to the question on every fan's mind: is the new kickoff less exciting? Well, that really depends on what you find exciting about football. If you loved the thrill of a 100-yard touchdown return, where a single player outruns everyone on the field, then yeah, this new rule probably feels like a downgrade. Those long, spectacular returns are going to be much rarer. But if you enjoy the strategic side of the game, the chess match between coaches, the creative blocking schemes, the tactical unpredictability, then this new rule might actually be more exciting for you. The truth is, the rule sacrifices a certain kind of spectacle for more structure. It trades raw violence for refined strategy, and chaos for choreography. Some fans see it as the league watering down tradition. Others see it as a smart, necessary modernization. And honestly, both points of view have some truth to them. Every time a rule changes, a new group of players and teams immediately benefits. With the new kickoff, we're seeing a few clear winners emerge. First up are the shifty, agile Under the old system, you needed world-class straight-line speed to break one for a touchdown. Now, speed matters less than vision, balance, and short area quickness. Returners who can make sharp cuts, slip through tiny gaps, and accelerate in a phone booth are suddenly more valuable than ever. Smaller, quicker players are getting a whole new opportunity to shine. The second big winner: creative special teams coordinators. The ones who aren't stuck in the old ways. This new rule is a blank canvas, and the forward-thinking coaches who can adapt the fastest are creating huge advantages for their teams. Finally, teams with strong interior blockers and kickers who have pinpoint accuracy are thriving. The return now rewards powerful, controlled blocking up front. And kickers who can strategically place the ball are becoming more important than those who can just kick it a mile. It's a whole new world, and these are the players and coaches building its future. So, the NFL's new kickoff is more than just a rule change. It's a fundamental shift in the philosophy of the game, prioritizing player safety and strategic depth over high-speed, high-risk collisions. While some miss the explosive chaos of the old play, the new version has introduced a fresh tactical layer that coaches, players, and fans are all still figuring out. What are your thoughts? Is this a change for the better? Let me know in the comments below. 2. The new NFL kickoff rule is shaking up the league, but not everyone's a winner. Who loses the most from this change? Well, first up are the pure speed gunners. You know the type. Fearless, explosive athletes willing to sprint 40 yards and just demolish whatever's in their path. That old kickoff was built for them. But now, the play is compressed. Those sprinting lanes are gone. There's no runway to build up that head of steam, making their primary skill set almost obsolete. Next, the high-impact tacklers. These were the players who dominated kickoff coverage with sheer power and aggression. The new rule reduces the play to short, controlled contact more like a wrestling match in a phone booth than an open field collision. It's just not their specialty. Teams that built their strategy around touchbacks are also in a tough spot. They invested in strong-legged kickers to neutralize dangerous returners, but forcing touchbacks is way harder now. What was once a strategic advantage is now effectively gone. And finally, returners who relied solely on speed are struggling. The tall, straight-line runners who needed open space to hit their stride now face crowded lanes and controlled chaos. Their one-dimensional style just isn't as effective anymore. With any big rule change, you see teams adapting at different speeds. The innovative franchises, the ones known for their analytical front offices, are thriving. They've embraced the new kickoff with creative formations, seeing it as a hidden opportunity to steal yards. We're already seeing some early trends emerge from these teams. Double motion returns, deceptive alignments to confuse the coverage team, prearranged double teams to spring the returner, and angled attack lanes that create new running paths. On the other hand, traditional teams are struggling. The ones that rely heavily on conventional special teams coaching find themselves a step behind. They're treating the new kickoff like a slightly modified version of the old play, and it's just not working. The game has changed, and they haven't caught up yet. This shift is also changing how rosters are built. Teams are now prioritizing different types of players for special teams. We're seeing a greater emphasis on hybrid linebackers who can cover and tackle in tight spaces, tall slot corners who can handle blocking assignments, blocking tight ends, and agile fullbacks. These players are the perfect fit for the compressed, more technical nature of the new kickoff. Every rule change creates a new meta, the dominant strategy that everyone eventually adopts. The new kickoff meta is still taking shape, but some clear trends are emerging. For instance, return walls and wedges are back. For years, wedge blocks were discouraged or even illegal because of safety concerns. But under this new formation, controlled wedge concepts have returned. They're safer, slower, and more deliberate than the bone-crushing wedges of the old days, but they're effective. We're also seeing trap return concepts. Teams are borrowing techniques from offensive line play, using things like down blocks, trap blocks, and delayed pulls. This is completely unprecedented in kickoff strategy. It's a sign of just how drastically the rule has changed the player's identity from pure chaos to calculated strategy. Kick placement is also becoming a huge factor. Coaches are discovering dead zones on the field spots where a returner will struggle to build momentum. Targeting these spots can trap the receiving team deep in their own territory, flipping field position in an instant. Because players can't move until the ball is caught. Return teams are experimenting with delayed shifts and post-catch misdirection. The kickoff is becoming more like a chess match than a demolition derby. But rule changes rarely affect just one play. They send ripples across the entire game. Under the old rules, so many drives started at the 25-yard line because of touchbacks. It was predictable. Now, field position is all over the map, and unpredictability leads to more dynamic, exciting football. This also means scoring patterns are shifting. Better starting field position naturally leads to more sustained drives, more field goal attempts, and more scoring opportunities, especially early in halves. This change affects everything from analytics and coaching decisions to game momentum itself. For years, many analysts argued that special teams were becoming less and less important. But with this revamped kickoff, special teams are once again a truly meaningful, game-changing phase of football. Of course, any major change like this becomes a hot topic for debate. Some analysts argue the rule doesn't go far enough. They believe the kickoff is still an unnecessary play and might eventually be removed from the game entirely. Others say the rule goes too far. Their argument is that football is a physical sport, and removing the high-impact chaos of the old kickoff softens the game too much. Some critics even compare it to manufactured excitement, saying the new format feels more like a scripted play than a spontaneous, explosive moment. But many others are praising it as modern football. They see it as the NFL evolving safely and intelligently, finding a way to preserve an iconic play rather than just eliminating it. Regardless of which side of the debate you're on, one thing is certain: everyone is talking about it. And when everyone is talking, you know the rule has made a massive impact. Ultimately, this new kickoff rule is arguably one of the most significant steps the NFL has taken in decades to protect its players. While we've seen injuries decrease in the short term, the long-term consequences could be even more profound. Speed. By limiting those full-speed 40-yard collisions, players are exposed to fewer traumatic hits, especially to the head and neck. Over a career, this could dramatically reduce the prevalence of concussions and post-career neurological issues. This change is also redefining training priorities. Strength and conditioning programs are shifting away from pure straight-line speed and explosive force. Instead, the focus is now on agility, balance, and short-area quickness. Players are being trained to react quickly and maintain body control in tight spaces. This shift will also reshape careers. Players who previously thrived on pure impact might see shorter careers on kickoff coverage. Conversely, agile and technically skilled athletes who excel at blocking and maneuvering in close quarters may find new, long-term success in this new environment. The ripple effects extend to every aspect of game strategy. Offenses are directly benefiting from better starting field position, with more returns and fewer touchbacks. Teams are starting drives further down the field, which subtly increases scoring chances and changes play calling, especially on first and second down. Defenses have to adapt they're no longer preparing for a chaotic, open-field scramble. Instead, they must plan for structured returns that resemble an offensive running play. You see linebackers and safeties on coverage units now playing more like interior run defenders. And most importantly, special teams have become a legitimate weapon again. Teams that master the new formations are gaining a strategic advantage that just didn't exist before. A well-executed kickoff return can completely flip the momentum of a game in a way we haven't seen in years. One of the most fascinating parts of this whole transition is how teams are using technology to get an edge. Video analysis is more crucial than ever. Coaches are studying every possible angle to perfect player spacing, block timing, and the creation of return lanes. They're also using sensors and tracking technology. GPS trackers and other wearable sensors allow them to measure player acceleration, attack angles, and even collision forces. This data helps teams refine their formations and player positioning to maximize efficiency while minimizing risk. Finally, there's predictive analytics. Teams are using data models to predict where a returner is most likely to go, based on the kicking team S alignment and the return team S formation. This has transformed the kickoff from a purely physical play into a strategic exercise in probability and positioning. It's a whole new ballgame, and the teams that embrace the data will be the ones who come out on top. It's an exciting time in the NFL, and the evolution of the kickoff is just getting started. Fells, have you noticed something different about the NFL this season? A play that once defined raw, explosive chaos now looks tactical, strategic. The kickoff, a cornerstone of football for generations, has been completely reinvented. And whether you love it or hate it, it's changing the game in ways we're only beginning to understand. For decades, the kickoff was football's most electrifying and dangerous moment. A full-speed human car crash that created legendary returns and devastating injuries. But in an era where player safety is paramount, the league faced a tough choice. Get rid of the kickoff or fix it. They chose to fix it. So, how has this radical change landed with the fans? Well, it's a mixed bag. On one side, you have parents and safety-conscious viewers who are thrilled. They see a league finally taking proactive steps to protect its players. The highlight reels are still filled with exciting returns, just with fewer cringeworthy injuries. But on the other side, there's a loud chorus of They miss the unpredictable explosion, that feeling that anything could happen. Some have even called the new version manufactured excitement. Regardless of where you stand, one thing is certain: everyone is talking about it. Social media is buzzing with clips, breakdowns, and heated debates. Players, analysts, and fans are all dissecting the new strategies, creating constant engagement around a part of the game that was becoming an afterthought. What does the future hold for this new-look kickoff? Well, if NFL history tells us anything, it's that major rule changes are never set in stone. Expect tweaks. The league will be watching player safety, game flow, and scoring impact like a hawk. We'll likely see adjustments to player alignment, timing restrictions, and maybe even the touchback rules. This isn't just about rules, it's about people. The new format could create a new breed of athlete specialist whose entire career is built on mastering returns in tight spaces. The traditional gunner role, known for fearless full-speed coverage, might evolve or even disappear. And, of course, it's all about the data. The teams that will truly dominate special teams are the ones who can blend raw talent with deep analytics. They'll study film, crunch numbers, and devise alignment strategies that give them the slightest edge. The kickoff is becoming a perfect microcosm of the modern NFL, a chess match of physical skill, precise planning, and predictive analytics. This new, safer kickoff could even have a global impact. As the NFL expands internationally, a version of the game with fewer violent collisions might be more appealing to new audiences and youth programs. It lowers the barrier to entry, making the sport more accessible worldwide. This whole situation perfectly captures the core tension in today's NFL, balancing tradition with modernity. The league's leadership sold this as an evolution, not a revolution. But for anyone watching, it feels like a brand new play. Though the tradition is technically preserved, the kickoff still exists. You can still have returns and even score. But modernity has clearly won the day. We have fewer injuries, more data-driven strategy, and highly structured tactical returns. It's a compromise, a play that tries to honor the past while building a safer future. So, after all this, is the new kickoff rule for the better or for the worse? The answer really depends on what you value in football. It's better for player safety, strategic depth, and innovation. It's probably worse for fans who crave the chaos, the full-speed collisions, and the high-stakes drama of the old format. But maybe that's the point. The NFL is no longer just a game of brute force. It's a game of precision, planning, and calculated execution. The kickoff, once the most unpredictable play in football, now perfectly reflects the league itself, structured, strategic, and constantly evolving. As we look forward, we can expect this evolution to continue. As players and coaches get more comfortable with the new format, injury rates will likely keep falling. Special teams coordinators, some of the most creative minds in the sport, will invent new schemes to exploit every wrinkle in the rules, and the players themselves will change. We'll see a shift toward athletes who have elite agility, vision, and technical skill, rather than just raw, straight-line speed. And despite the debates, we, the fans, will keep watching, analyzing, and arguing. The kickoff remains a key moment, just in a modernized package. It has survived, not by resisting change, but by embracing it. So, the new kickoff rule isn't simply better or worse, it's just different. It's a reflection of a league in transition, a play that adapted to survive, and a football culture that is learning to embrace change without completely abandoning its roots. The kickoff is no longer just a play. It's a symbol of change, of innovation, and of the NFL's commitment to evolve. The raw speed and the massive collisions might be less dramatic than before. But what we have now is a play that challenges athletes, inspires brilliant strategy, and engages fans in ways we're just beginning to explore. The new NFL kickoff is safer, smarter, and more strategic. Ends. In that delicate balance between tradition and progress, the game of football finds a future that's definitely worth watching. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, Make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of football.